Hey everybody, this is Dan,
And this is Ron,
and this is a nominee
and a nominee questionable movie.
question. And today we have the most questionable of all kinds of movies, a new movie.
Yeah. So we're gonna be first. We're careful to let everyone know spoilers. Lots and lots of spoilers ahead.
Yeah,
This is we saw
A Marriage Story by Noah Baumbach.
So if you haven't seen it yet and you plan to and want to, you might want to go see it before you listen to the rest of it.
Yeah, it's about two people who are married. One of them says something about Rosebud, which leads the woman on a quest to find out what exactly is Rosebud, thinking it's another woman, but it turns out it's directed by Noah Baumbach.
I don't know if I want to see the Noah Baumbach version of Citizen Kane.
We definitely did not see that tonight, though.
No, we didn't. So
this was not a Citizen Kane level movie.
No, but I still am going to have to go back and blank out. You're giving away the ending of Citizen Kane. Not to worry, I didn't forget that part.
So anyway, the movie that we watched tonight does not spoil the end of Citizen Kane.
No,
I am the one who spoils the end of Citizen Kane, apparently. But no, so these two people in New York become very successful. They're married, they have a kid, and then the wife is like, "Yo, peace out, bitches." And then, like, intense divorcey things happen for, like, 2 hours straight.
Yeah, but you just made it sound like she went and left them, like a Kramer versus Kramer thing. Because the movie starts off with them in a mediation.
Oh, yeah, that's true. So she's the one who, like, leaves the marriage. And, like, granted, I can kind of see where, like, ultimately the people in this movie, the person they're running from who they'll never get away from is themselves. But I would want to get away from most of the other people around them too, so like not the most surprising. I mean, I guess for like Scarlett Johansson, if her character had made this movie, the title would have been Escape from New York. And what's funny is if Adam Driver's character had made the movie, it would have been called Escape from LA.
Both excellent films.
Yeah, and if John Carpenter had made this movie, it would have been called They Live. It would have had a very different mediation scene.
So yeah, I'm trying to excuse me. I'm sorry, I'm eating a cookie. I should have actually finished eating it or not eaten it beforehand, as opposed to making all that sound of taking it out of the bag. I apologize, everyone. I couldn't help myself. But yeah, is there anyone in this movie that you would have actually wanted to hang out with, or even
be married to,
but not even that? Just want to like be around or spend even a few minutes in an elevator with? Because I'm trying to think of who would I want to spend any time with in this movie.
I mean, I don't know. I'd spend like a couple minutes in an elevator with Scarlett Johansson
in this movie. Wow. Okay, I'm impressed.
I don't know. I mean, she's got that Gene Seberg look going on. But I want to be married to her? No, God, no. These people are like so 9 to 5. It's I couldn't live like that.
Another good movie.
9 to 5, is that a movie?
Yeah. You don't know about 9 to 5? Dolly Parton, Jane Fonda, and Lily Tomlin.
Huh.
You don't know about it?
No, I never saw it.
It's based on the Dolly Parton song. Now I don't know if it's based on it or if she wrote the song for the movie. But yeah. Oh, it's funny. Oh, and Dabney Coleman. It's got Dabney Coleman.
Oh, I love Dabney Coleman. Yeah. Buffalo Bill.
But yeah, they play three women that work at an office. I think secretaries. This is early 80s. And they get sexually harassed and they fight back. It is a comedy, by the way. This isn't anything too serious. But unlike the movie we just saw, were there any laughing moments in it?
I laughed really hard when they had that thing with the gate not closing, because that sequence was fucking ridiculous and hilarious.
Oh, yeah. I guess we should go back. Okay, let's actually say let's begin with go through the whole movie. Or did you give a full plot synopsis? The part I got caught up on was...
So Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson are married to one another. Scarlett Johansson wakes up one morning and realizes she can't hold back all the Godfather horsehead jokes that she's been thinking of while they've been having sex for all these years, and decides to divorce Adam Driver. They have a child, and they meet 3 lawyers in total. One of them is Alan Alda, one of them is Ray Liotta from Goodfellas, and the other one is Laura Dern from Jurassic Park.
That's her biggest claim to fame.
Biggest claim to fame is Jurassic Park.
Of everything that Laura Dern's done.
Yeah.
The one that tops the list is Jurassic Park.
Well, it's like a normal park, but it's got fucking dinosaurs in it, man.
There's the three lawyers. The Scarlett Johansson character, her lawyer's Laura Dern, and then the other two, Alan Alda is Adam Driver's first lawyer, who he then gets rid of in favor of Ray Liotta, because apparently Laura Dern is the best, so he had to go get the best too.
Yeah, Ray Liotta is like the best dude lawyer, and like Laura Dern is the best chick lawyer.
Yeah. So then there's the back and forth with the lawyers and the court, and at one point the judge appoints an evaluator, someone to go into Adam Driver's home with the kid there and Scarlett Johansson's home with the kid there and see, evaluate what things are like, because they also want to take into account the kid's best interests. And then they end up with an agreement, and then eventually towards even a little past that, Adam Driver moves to LA. Oh yeah, they live in New York. Scarlett Johansson gets the job. She's an actress and doing a pilot, so she goes out there, takes the kid. They say just temporarily until the pilot is, or until the show's done, because the pilot got picked up.
And he gets a MacArthur Genius Grant.
Oh yeah. Genius that he apparently developed while they were married.
And she gets like a starring role in an ongoing TV show.
Yeah. So she files for divorce in LA and puts the kid in school in LA. So suddenly there's all these things working in her favor to make it seem, for reasons to her to be able to keep the kid there. Anyways, while I was watching this, I kept thinking Kramer vs. Kramer, scenes from a marriage, love story, only because it's sort of the post
story.
Yeah, this is what happens later.
This is like, if like love story is American Pie, marriage story is American Wedding. There's like 5 American Pie movies.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry, I was trying to think of. Oh, I know. I was thinking of American Beauty. I was trying.
That wasn't another movie, an American Pie movie, although
that's the prequel.
Yeah. It's funny because the Kevin Spacey thing ended up being kind of like Gresham, right?
What do you mean?
Well, because like the movie kind of ends with him creeping on that like 16-year-old girl.
Yes. Yeah. Prescient is a good word for that there.
But it's so beautiful to watch a plastic bag float in the wind, looking to start anew, wanting to start. Is that what that Katy Perry song is about? Is that like the Firework when she's talking about the plastic bag? Like, have you ever felt like a plastic bag in the wind, waiting to start again? She's totally talking about that scene at the beginning of American Beauty.
Oh, okay. Oh, maybe.
Where like Kevin Spacey fucks the pie. Right.
So Marriage Story. So yeah, I don't know what to make of it. I don't know if I liked it or not. I know the whole thing with not liking any of the characters or not wanting to spend any time with them. That was the response I had. I mentioned this earlier, but the response I had to watching the Meyerowitz stories, the Meyerowitz Chronicles, the Meyerowitz stories. I think.
Well, I heard it was a movie.
It was a movie.
Okay.
But it contained stories within it about people,
okay.
or it chronicled their lives. So yeah, so the Meyerowitz whatever. About half hour into it, I was finding it really painful, and about a half hour into it, I turned to my friend and asked him, "Am I supposed to like any of these people?" And he said, "No." Like, oh, okay, so it's not just me. And I was able to appreciate the movie a little better then. So I tried doing that here, and maybe that helped because I'm still trying to decide if I enjoyed the movie or not. There were some scenes in it that seemed totally overwrought, and then there were some bits, and it could be like the second half of that same scene that just seemed very real.
Yeah, it's a very uneven movie, which is funny because like visually it all looks so similar. I think the dialogue is more naturalistic than the most obvious stylistic precursor to this movie, which I would say are like the late 80s Woody Allen movies when he tries to like merge the comedy with the serious stuff, like Hannah and Her Sisters, Crimes and Misdemeanors, Alice, just like that kind of sense of lots of family gatherings, lots of people kind of all speaking about the same subject or conflict, the use of pretty much anyone outside of the primary narrative as this sort of running Greek chorus dangerous about the primary narrative. Like, you notice anytime we see Adam Driver, oh God, I should know the guy's name. I just watched Charlie. Anytime anybody in his theater company is talking, they're talking about his marriage, which is like kind of, I mean, I get the technique that's being used. It feels a little bit strange, but that's something that Woody Allen will do a lot of too. Like, Woody Allen does not like to have any kind of narrative fat in his movies, which can make the conversations and interactions seem kind of like weirdly unnatural because they're overly goal focused or overly like kind of laser focused on a single subject. And I felt like this movie had a little bit of that too.
Can you give an example?
Well, I mean, so I guess the example in this movie would be the any of Charlie's interactions with the theater company. Like, everything's just about his marriage. Anytime we see Scarlett Johansson's character, Nicole. Whenever we see Nicole interacting with anybody, she's always talking with them about her marriage to Charlie or about her relationship to the kid in some capacity. Like, I don't think there was a line of dialogue in the film that did directly relate in some way to their marriage. Which, granted, that's no fault of Noah Baumbach because he did call the thing a marriage story, so I don't really feel like there was false advertising going on, but it does tend to make the characters seem underdeveloped. And like, at this point in the game with films, because we as a culture have become so accustomed to how films are structured, echoes of prior films and current films, etc., this can't help but kind of come off as this weird sort of, it's trying to be about a universal divorce experience, but there is no universal experience of divorce. And it also has that kind of like, it could get a lot uglier than it did. Like I'm sure neither of them would be in anywhere near as good a mood if he hadn't just like won a MacArthur Genius Grant. He hadn't just got a TV show, like, which I don't, that's not usually what happens to people when they get divorced.
Win MacArthur Genius Grant?
Yeah, like usually it's not a great opportunity for professional advance. And,
but it's apparently a good opportunity for divorce.
Yeah. I mean, if you're these two people and you're getting divorced, then you're both going to be just fine.
Yeah. No, would you say there's no? It was trying to say something universal about divorce, and there's nothing. Will you say there's nothing universal about divorce? That's not what you said. I'm saying that wrong.
Okay, so like the.
Well, no, I'm saying in this. Are you saying that he wasn't doing something that was specific and human?
It seemed because we didn't see the characters get fleshed out much at all beyond their dissolving marriage to each other, because we don't have any kind of extra layers of detail to any of these characters outside of the primary narrative, because it's such a long film with just one primary narrative that's handled in a relatively linear fashion.
There isn't even a B story.
Yeah, there is no B story. It's just M story. And yeah, I just like, I don't get the sense that these characters are anybody specific outside of maybe like some kind of little biographical Easter eggs that maybe Baumbach threw in with details, because that both of the people are in the same art scene that the director and writer is in, so I'm sure there's some kind of like little like hidden messages to friends or whatever in a movie that's this explicitly about a shared setting.
I felt a little like he wrote, because he was the writer, so he wrote these scenes out as, these are the kinds of things that happen during separation and divorce. So let me kind of figure out loosely, I should put this scene somewhere and I should put this one, maybe, put them all in a hat and then let it fall. Because some of the scenes felt like, they felt somewhat disjointed. Like we'd suddenly get this jump. No real growth or no trajectory.
Yeah, and I think it couldn't decide whether it was going to be a movie about like the emotional experience of divorce, or if it was going to be this sort of, I'm trying to think what to call. There's like a kind of subgenre of movies where it's like, here's a thing that's hot and in the news, or is like very universal but very charged up, and we're gonna make a movie about it. There's going to be a little bit of drama, but there's going to be a lot of scenes just explaining basic steps in the process. Like Days of Wine and Roses is a movie like that, where there's this intense performance by Jack Lemmon and these other intense performances, but there's a lot of scenes of just like very gracelessly outlining what alcoholism is. Another example would be like The Wire, the HBO TV show. They were constantly kind of doing these basic illustrations of like, here's how this specific thing in the criminal justice system works, which on the one hand, it's important because the audience probably doesn't know how some of this stuff works. On the other hand, I don't know, I feel like it distracts from the primary emotional thrust of the piece,
right?
Particularly in comparison with other divorce movies like Scenes from a Marriage, which is directly referenced in this film. At one point, I believe, it's Nicole looks at a picture of an article.
It's an article about the two of them, yeah.
Yeah, and it says Scenes from a Marriage.
Yeah, that's the title of the article.
Right, and this is Scenes from a Marriage is a much better movie than this.
That's setting the bar pretty high.
Yeah, the bar, yes. That's one of my favorite bourbon. You ever seen the 6-hour version?
Are you serious?
Yeah, because it was a TV show.
Yeah.
So you just watch it 1 hour at a time.
Okay, right.
Episode TV show. I tried to watch the 3-hour one once, and then I just gave up. And then when I try to watch the 6-hour one, it just like flows very nicely. It's like a little TV miniseries. But yeah, that's like the high watermark, I think, for movies of this genre of there's also Maurice Pilot, We Will Not Grow Old Together. That's a great movie. It's a French movie from like 72, I think. Much more, very different feel than this movie. Like, I think the movie this movie most reminded me of was, in terms of like divorce movies, was probably Kramer versus Kramer.
Yeah. There were a number of things, both whether it's the conversation or what happens in the plot, or like an image from a scene that reminded me of it directly.
Yeah, and I think also the focus on the father, which this film has, like, it's weird because in the beginning we're getting a lot of focus on Nicole, and then at a certain point the movie shifts almost entirely into the focus of Charlie, and that's when it starts looking very Kramer v. Kramer, right? Because like Kramer v. Kramer is like, it's technically a movie about divorce, but most of the film is about Dustin Hoffman learning how to be a single dad.
Right, because Meryl Streep leaves, and then she comes back for the trying to get custody. Yeah, well, in this one it begins, and you see both of them, and then suddenly she seems to move into the background, or she's off screen most of the time. But yeah, okay, so it wasn't just me. I was wondering if I was being too sensitive to it and thinking like, this is taking the husband side, the husband and father side a little bit more, and focusing on him and humanizing him more.
Yeah, and I think part of that does come down to like when you don't add extra details to the people's lives, like the extent to which we feel like the characters are developed is pretty much directly equivalent to how much screen time they have, right? Because like everything is supposed to work on this dual level of like, they are our universal surrogate into this experience, but they're also supposed to be these developed characters we're looking at from the outside.
Well, like when we see the evaluators, the expert evaluator, go and see each of the households, we see her spend a lot of time, a lot of very uncomfortable moments when she's at Charlie's place. Charlie and what's the kid's name?
Dipshit.
I think that may be what the dad called him, but kid, yeah, the kid. So we see
Charlie.
We see Charlie and the kid being evaluated, but we never see in Scarlett Johansson's in Nicole's place.
Yeah,
we only see the one, and we see how uncomfortable it is and how much they have to deal with it.
A 6-hour director's cut of this.
Oh God.
Oh, actually, another one about the theater and divorce. L'Amour Fou, 1967.
What's that about?
It's a 4-hour French movie about these people that do experimental theater getting divorced.
Okay.
Much stranger movie than this, but it's like at the height of the French New Wave.
What about all those wacky hijinks movies about divorce? Got to be somewhere. What are the fun divorce movies?
Fun divorce movies. God, are there any fun divorce movies?
All right, now I've got
There's
my
gotta
mission to go and
be.
find some.
Oh, Miss Doubtfire.
Mrs.
Doubtfire.
Right.
But yeah, that's a divorce movie.
Okay.
Right, because he's dressing up as Mrs. Doubtfire to get to see the kids more. He's like pretending to be this French maid. English maid.
Have you ever seen it?
Yeah, no, I saw it when I was like 5, though.
Oh, okay.
I probably
Okay.
saw it 4 or 5 times, but I haven't seen it since I was 5.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right, so there's one.
Right, all I remember is like he's like mowing a lawn and like taking care of business, or something like that.
It's been so long, I don't remember much. Plus, I didn't like it that much. Oh God.
Right, and then the kids are like, "Why is Miss Featherbottom's legs so hairy?" Or whatever.
Doubtfire.
Mrs. Doubtfire. and he's just like, "Well, that's how the French women wear their legs." But it's like so obviously Robin Williams in a dress.
Yeah.
That was the fun divorce movie, I think.
That was
was a fun
divorce movie. All right, now I've got it as a challenge to go and find some more. But yeah, there were some scenes in this that were, I thought, pretty powerful, and there wasn't much for the camera work, and I don't think it felt like the director just said, "Okay, now act."
Everything was like shot reverse shots outside of. There was like one really slow motion like zoom in when she's having the initial breakdown in the lawyer's office, where it's just like her head against. He loves having like blank white walls that people are sitting in front of. He likes empty houses. Kind of like Hal Hartley is really into that, like just take everything off the walls, and you got people like sitting in front of just a white wall or like tile or something like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of white walls in here. Well, and especially with when Charlie first moves to LA to the temporary place, there's nothing on the walls.
Right. They even comment on it. Yeah, I don't know what else was going on with this movie.
I guess there were some scenes that worked really well. But I think it was because of the acting more than anything. So Laura Dern, Alan Alda, Ray Liotta, whatever scenes they were in, they were chewing the scenery without even trying.
Yeah, the actors all did a very good job, and the script and the direction were kind of
present.
Yeah, I mean they let everybody else kind of carry the ball. Like a quarterback that can't necessarily throw very far, but like knows how to get the most out of his players. He's like plugging along.
Yeah. Is this what you'd call an actor's director? I heard that term once and I never knew what it meant, and I'm like, one day I'll understand it.
Actor's director. Yeah. And that's usually what they call John Cassavetes or those guys. I mean, there were definitely there were elements where, okay, so you haven't seen A Woman Under the Influence.
No, not yet. I know it ends with a phone.
Okay, so the scene where Charlie, aka Adam Driver, accidentally cuts himself down his arm, and he's just like frantically cleaning the blood in the sink. There's a scene very similar to that in A Woman Under the Influence, except we're not given any information about like what was intended by the person cutting themselves. We just have this like one shot of somebody washing their arm over a sink.
Okay. Here we know what happened.
Here we know what happened in it, but the tone of the scene felt so similar. But at the same time, or at least like the way the scene was shot felt very similar. But I guess the tone was very different, right? Because it was almost like it was supposed to be funny that this guy like just cut himself with a box cutter.
Yeah, you're right. It was one of the few funny moments in the movie.
Right, and he's just like kind of like blissed out on the floor, losing blood, and he's like, "We're gonna be fine, buddy."
Yeah, the kid walks in while he's on the floor, half passed out, and
with like blood spurting out of his arm.
And then in the next scene, it sounds like the lawyers of Nicole and her lawyer Laura Dern are talking, and it sounds like they're ready to settle the whole thing. That's one of the few times we don't get Adam Driver's perspective. Actually, we never get his quote unquote change of heart, although we assume that because of this jump want that had something to do with him reevaluating life after having nearly died accidentally. Maybe, I don't know. We're just supposed to fill in a lot of blanks there.
I'd love to see a version of this movie about two people where, right, because like when they're going through the process in this movie, they both are like these paragons of society, and they're super anxious about these little flaws, like, oh, she has a drink with dinner, and like, oh, he doesn't own anything to put on his walls, or whatever, you know, like, what would a movie look like called like Divorce Story, but like about people who have no assets, still have a kid, and like have a bunch of problems? Like, what does that movie look like? Is it like 5 hours, or is it like half an hour?
The movie that doesn't include the $650,000 MacArthur grant?
The movie with no MacArthur grant. They're not theater, they're like janitors. They have a kid and they decide we're getting divorced because we just don't love each other the way we did when we first met as younger janitors.
Well, the first thing they need to do is go to a mediator. We'll have them go through an exercise in which they talk about what they admire about the other, what they like. So that's step one, right? Oh wait, that's this movie,
right? Right, and then you have to like, why was that just sitting out in the kids' room at the end?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. So that I should explain that. So the movie begins with this kind of cheesy voiceover narration of each of them talking about things they admire about the other person as they're about to go into their divorce meeting. And so they read it. We get these very just kind of functional montages. Nothing exciting to write home about the montages in this movie. And then at the very end of the movie, their son finds the 2 pages of things that she admires about Charlie, aka Adam Driver, and the kid reads them out loud. And it's supposed to be like the big emotional climax of the movie. But like, why would she just leave that out? I always remember that being like a thing that I found very weird and disconcerting when I was a kid, like when parental figures would just leave out like private pieces of paper as like coded messages that I was supposed to interpret somehow. And like, I got a decent amount of that, but like, yeah, if my mother had left that on my bed for my father to find and for me to read in front of him, I would have felt weirdly used, because it's kind of like she can't say the things directly to him. She needs it to be a thing of me performing it for him, which kind of struck me as weird about that scene. Like, they're using the kid as a medium to communicate with each other through.
But we need to understand why it was there. Did she leave it out there sort of, let's say subconsciously? Or was he rummaging through some stuff and found it?
That's true.
Or does she, I don't know, I can't think of it. Was she looking
the script
through
writing gods called for it, obviously, but
right, we needed something to wrap things up with and to show that all's well again.
Right, and they have like a pretty cordial relationship post divorce.
Yeah, he moves to, well, it ends up with him moving to LA too, and it's hard to tell if she's excited or not, or if she's indifferent or hiding something, or I don't know. I couldn't tell what how she was feeling. That's why it's hard to tell why that thing was out there. I think
like the giving him the detail of like, oh, he doesn't really have any family, because otherwise this movie would have been 3 hours long. But
if his family was involved,
if he had like a family, right? Because like in the divorce, on the one hand he acts like a dick about a lot of stuff. On the other hand, like all of it is very expensive, stress inducing, etc. But like when you view it as like their lives, like his only real family seems to be her extended family.
Right.
All of his like personal connections somehow are in Los Angeles, even though he runs an entire theater troupe in New York, but somehow he doesn't have any close personal contacts in New York that we ever see. So for him, it's like he's losing his family, he's losing all his friends, he's losing all his contacts. For her, it's kind of like, oh, okay, I'm moving back in with my mom for a bit.
I'm back to be with my family and my sister and my nieces and nephews.
Right, like you almost get this sense earlier on in the film when you see like the entire family interacting, and you see like how much her mother and her sisters like Charlie. Like early on, I almost thought they don't really come back to this, or I don't think this was a thing actually like thought about in the making of the film. But this interesting implication is there that she might be pushing him away because she feels jealous of the fact that he's like kind of taken this affection and familiar relationship of her family. Like it's another way that she feels overshadowed, kind of like with his directing the plays.
Like I said, the way that her mom treats her soon-to-be ex-husband is a lot nicer and a lot warmer than she treats her.
Right, so it could be like a way of her getting territorial over her family.
Mine, this is mine.
Right,
stay out.
Like sticking a flag in the ground. I guess that kind of holds up, right? Because like the big thing that she's fighting for is what city they end up in, which I thought was kind of an interesting.
That's a big deal that both her lawyer and his lawyer make a point of. They spend a lot of time focusing on jurisdiction, on living location, etc.
Right, which definitely makes it seem like Mr. Baumbach went through some kind of divorce involving the film industry.
Yeah, or something. Because
within a couple of years of this, because like for most people, I don't think choosing like a zip code in a different state would be a prime driver of child custody concerns.
Wait, I don't understand. Can you say that again?
I don't know. I feel like most people who are getting divorced who have a kid, like the other person isn't moving 3,000 miles away because they're in like a big industry that like it's very much a movie about a Hollywood divorce because most people do not have to worry about whether their kid's going to end up in Los Angeles or New York.
Right.
Maybe like Ballston Spa or Malta, but like,
No, but I guess I still don't understand. What do you mean that they wouldn't move?
Well, I just feel like a lot of the process would not be as focused on, it would be more focused on what house the kid is living in, not so much like, well, okay, maybe I walk that back, because a lot of times people will move like, because even like a 40-minute to an hour move, that can be a big deal.
Yeah.
With a custody situation. Right. So.
And then if one of the couple wants to, now that they're splitting up, they want to go back and live closer to their family, whether it's so not for a job, just to be next to their family. Because here she moved back. She moved back initially because of the work,
right?
At least on the surface. So whatever maybe she had stronger motivations, and she just wanted to be close to her family. But people without a job, people will move to be closer to their family or where they know people. But anyways, I don't know what else to say about it.
I kind of wonder how it would have looked different if Judd Apatow had filmed it, because I feel like it has a lot of the stuff that he likes to put in his movies just put together a lot differently. But I could totally see like
Judd Apatow coming up with the divorce comedy that we've all been waiting for.
Yeah, because he did what was it, Funny People, and then This Is 40 was kind of his middle age thing, and kind of like Knocked Up in reverse, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's not hard to imagine those people getting divorced.
Right. All right.
Know each other, right?
Does Knocked Up have a sequel?
Not yet, but if you're listening, Judd Apatow, I will make your Seth Rogen divorces
Katherine Heigl.
Katherine Heigl. Whatever happened to her?
I don't know. She's not been showing up in stuff lately. Oh, didn't she just direct the new Charlie's Angels remake?
Oh, she did?
Yeah, I think that's her first her directorial debut.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, if Judd Apatow ever wants to make a movie about Seth Rogen and Katherine Heigl like divorcing with a kid, but wants it to have fart jokes and stuff like that, like I can do that. Noah Baumbach cannot give you the fart jokes I can give you.
Oh, and I'm sorry, I meant Elizabeth Banks, not Katherine Heigl. I was confused.
Was it Elizabeth? No, it wasn't Elizabeth Banks in that movie.
No, who directed Charlie's Angels?
Oh, who directed?
Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I get confused between them. So yeah, what was
I mean, that or like 40-year-old virgin, like those people. I don't know. Do you think that like Steve Carell and what's her face for being John Malkovich? You think they like?
Kathy Keener.
Yeah,
Catherine Keener.
Catherine Keener. Like, do you think they're still together?
Oh yeah, they're still not at him.
Okay.
Oh, totally. And he's a great stepfather. And in fact, I think
And he's still selling dolls.
He's still selling. Well, they've expanded the business. He's doing more of the. He's sort of the middleman. He goes and he goes out to see what products are available. He finds the buyers and he brings them together. He does a negotiation. He's kind of like a high end eBay in person.
Okay.
Yeah. And when she's a little bit more of a larger scale, because she's got the eBay store.
Right.
So he's more the concierge service.
Oh yeah, I never thought about that. Right, because it's probably like explicitly I haven't seen 40-Year-Old Virgin at least like 14 years. Right, because she has the eBay business, and then he has all the toys, and then she's like, "Yo, you should like sell your toys on eBay." And,
oh, there was a reason.
Make love to me.
There was a reason though. It was so that he can open his own audio store. Isn't that what he wanted to do? It was in order to fund him opening his own store.
I can't remember.
Yeah. I guess that wasn't the important part of the movie.
Well, I remember they all start singing Aquarius at the end. There's like that song in...
Yeah, that's at the end after he has sex.
Yeah, anyway, but yeah, Judd Apatow's A Marriage Story.
I'd pay to see that.
I would pay to see that. I don't know if I'd like it. I don't know if Judd Apatow would like it, but I would pay to see it. So if you're the guy with the money that like forces Judd Apatow to do things,
and then we can
to get on that.
And then we can watch it again as part of the double feature. Noah Baumbach and Judd Apatow bring you A Marriage Story in 2 parts.
I was going to say, because Liz has never seen Goodfellas, and so with the Ray Liotta thing, like this with Goodfellas would be like a 5-hour double feature. But probably pretty fun.
Or just watch Goodfellas.
Or just watch, this was, I think like when it comes down to it, there's a lot of little things to like in this movie, but on the whole, it feels very inessential. Like it's...
Well, so I was avoiding it because I'm not the biggest Noah Baumbach fan, and this was, I kept hearing about it, and it was everywhere, and it was in the theaters, and it's available on Netflix at the same time. And so, a friend of mine and I have a list of movies to watch, and so we'll go every weekend, or me and a couple, and we'll watch them Sunday morning. And so this was on the list. My friend added it, and I was like, I haven't seen it, but I'll skip that one. So finally, I'm glad I saw it, and it had the problems with it that I was anticipating, but having gotten what I expected at that level, it also had some things about it that I really liked. So, or some individual scene, or even some specific performances. Again, an individual scene. It was a little.
Right.
They could be a little. The three lawyers were consistent, right? They were playing smaller characters. So we weren't going to get fully fleshed 3-dimensional characters there, but they did their parts really well as the supporting cast.
Yeah, and I think that the kid was like very emotionally one-dimensional too, which is a thing that doesn't get commented on very much in movies like this. Although I guess Kramer versus Kramer, like the kid's relatively well developed, but like you're always seeing the kid as this sort of factor of the parent. You very rarely have attitude, emotional reactions to things being considered very much from the kid's level up in movies like this. And I definitely feel like the kid was kind of an afterthought. Like this is very much a movie about heroin.
Oh yeah, right. The marriage doesn't include kids, this isn't a parenting story, and it's not a family story.
Right.
It's just a marriage story. Yeah, the kid, he wasn't even a prop. He was more like a shoulder sleeve or something. So if you put on your jacket, one of the sleeves also happens to be your kid. Yeah. Or maybe, I don't know.
Man, do you ever see that SCTV sketch, Scenes from Jerry Lewis's Scenes from an Idiot's Marriage? And it's just like, what if Jerry Lewis made Ingmar Bergman's Scenes from a Marriage? It's beautiful.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's got like Martin Short as Jerry Lewis. Yeah, this really makes me want to watch Scenes from a Marriage again, but it doesn't make me want to fill in the gaps in my Noah Baumbach.
Well, it's gotten me interested enough to watch Frances Ha again, because I can't remember if I liked it or not. So I need to watch it to see whether or not I liked it, or at least whether I like it in the present.
I want to see the version of that where it's like Beavis and Butthead in black and white going through New York, and it would be called Beavis. Again, if anybody who wants to fund that is listening, I will write Beavis the movie. Money.
We need to get a, was it not a Patreon or not Patreon? We need to do a Kickstarter for all these movies that you've come up with.
Can when we make like a movie out of the pot, like had that Angry Video Game Nerd. He made like Angry Video Game Nerd the movie. It was a horrible idea. It's a horrible movie, but we're eventually, this podcast is going to get so big we're going to have no choice but to do a tie-in movie. And we'll have so many like mini movies that we can cram into that, because like I always feel like when that kind of movie gets made, like Weird Al UHF, right? It's like a bunch of mini movies crammed into this one movie.
Yeah.
Like it's mostly a sketch comedy show, but it's got this like wrapper of the TV station.
Yeah.
That would be cool. A nominee of the movie.
My only insistence for this movie is that Wallace Shawn make an appearance.
Okay, yeah, which he does in this movie.
Yeah.
He's like a perverted old man.
In one of the actors in Adam Driver's and Scarlett Johansson's acting troupe. So I guess I don't know. My summary is I'm glad that I watched it. As much about it that I didn't like, I'm glad. Like it was better than what I was afraid it was going to be like.
Yeah,
how's that for damning praise?
It was kind of. I feel like there were redeeming points of these fictional people's marriage, but I also feel good that these fictional people are now divorced. So you know what? I guess it did what it needed to do.
Yeah.
And I'm like at peace with that. And I spent exactly as much time with those people as I would want to spend with those people. And they they figured out their shit and they went out and did other shit. You know what? That's like a good message for.
Yeah, they ended up with an amicable.
Days.
They ended up with an amicable divorce, which seems to be like their relationship.
I mean, amicable divorce is to the the 2010s, 2020s, what like the phrase simultaneous orgasm was to the 60s. That's how
you get your kicks.
Yeah, and it started with a bang, and now it's kind of a whimper.
Yeah. But everybody's whimpering together. That's what amicable.
Well, that's polygamy.
Yeah. So I'm glad having watched it.
Yeah, I'm happy that those people aren't married anymore.
Yeah, and I'm happy
that's the highest praise that I can give to a movie.
Happy that they're not married anymore, and happy that I don't have to spend any more time with them.
Yeah, that's okay. Wait, I got to talk about the fence scene though.
The fence scene. Oh, okay, all right.
Okay,
but so you have to describe it briefly.
The most ridiculous. So they're already divorced. He has the kid, but she's at her insanely nice-looking Los Angeles bungalow thing, and the gate in front of her house won't close. And he goes over and he finds a button and he hits the button, and then they pull the gate together. And as they're pulling it together,
they're on opposite sides of the gate.
Opposite sides of the gate, and we see these incredibly every cliche shot you've ever seen on a TV show, sitcom, you name it, of an elevator door closing on somebody to signify the end of that era in the relationship, or the fences closing between you and this other person. And it's just the most, I don't know, Liz didn't find it as ridiculous as I found. I don't think anybody found it quite as. I burst out laughing when I saw it. I was just this is so. It's like when somebody puts the character behind a stair railing to make it look like they're in a jail cell. That gets done to death in movies. Anyway, that scene was kind of ridiculous and probably could have been cut from the overall. I probably could have cut about 20 minutes from that beat.
Yeah, so
that was an Anomaly story.
That was an Anomaly story. There was a story about a questionable marriages story.
Yeah, and I guess that was it. Left me I was neither disappointed nor impressed. It was a thing, it happened, and I moved on.
Yeah.
Kind of like an actual divorce.
There were parts of it that were somewhat impressive, and there were parts of it that were somewhat disappointing, and then there was most of it somewhere in between.
But I thought my favorite part of it, compared to actual divorces I've been involved in, was it was only 2 hours and 16 minutes.
Not the drawn out battle lasting
not like
years.
months, years.
Yeah.
So like it kind of it brings out the sort of more theme park ride qualities of Divorce. You know, when you like cram them all in so close together like that.
Oh, okay. Right.
You're
'cause
sort
this
of
is
hitting all the highs and lows, and you're just like, you know, the cart's like, it's like going up the track, and then it like goes down, and you're like screaming at each other, and you're punching the wall or whatever, and then you're like done in time for dinner.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of the movies, folks.
And we know that the movie takes place over the course of more than a year because we've got the 2 Halloweens.
Right.
But it doesn't feel, you don't get the feeling of like, wow. And so
No, it didn't
at
feel
least a
more
year
than
has
like
passed.
2 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So,
But that's maybe...
good on you guys.
Yeah.
That movie actually felt like it was a year long. I would not have finished it. I'll just be honest with you.
Oh, you want to finish this?
I would not if this was a full year long. No.
Oh, yes, yeah. Would you
not
finish this on your own for all of 2 hours and 15 minutes that it was? If
like you
Elizabeth and I were here watching it.
Oh God, no. No, I never would have made it through this whole movie. No, if I with movies like this, like if I'm with people and I know I'm going to talk about it afterwards, I can sit through it all the way through. But like if I'm just on my own, like I'll put on. I honestly don't put on a ton of movies now. I put on a lot of like YouTube cooking tutorial videos. I'm like trying to get better at cooking.
You have to remind me to send you a link to some really serious hardcore cooking videos on YouTube, but they're hard to find unless you know exactly what you're looking for. So I'll have to get back to you on that.
Next episode, Ron's got some hardcore, like deep cut,
Julia
hardcore
Childs.
shit for your wimpy cooking asses.
All right. Anything else?
No, I think that
it's a wrap.
Yeah. All right. So that's been Anominy,
and
this is still Dan.
This is still Ron, and
we will still see you guys every week. We're just going to be living in separate apartments now. So don't worry about us.
All right. Take care, everyone.